Hi friends, Itheria here, and today we're going to be talking about static etiquette. Now, this video was inspired by a conversation that was had in my Discord. I have a Discord server, so if you guys want to join, you can find the link in the description. But anyhow, one of our Discord members had to vent a little bit because he was kicked from his static. Now, you might be thinking, okay, what did he do? What did he do wrong? Was he, playing really poorly, consistently? Was he being rude? Or, come on guys, I wouldn't have an asshole in my Discord server, right? So it turns out that the person leading his static basically decided, they were progging P4S by the way, basically decided that what they wanted from that static was not what that static was. And instead of leaving, instead of, just staying for the rest of the tier, or at least staying until the whole group got a clear, and then, redoing everything, he was just like, you know what, I'm gonna kick some people. And he kicked this person and, I don't know, a couple other people, and basically told them that he wanted, a more hardcore group. And this was baffling to me and very infuriating to the person who got kicked, who was telling me this story. And I think the problem here is that, and this is going to be one of my quote-unquote pieces of etiquette, you need to set up your expectations for your static in the beginning. So how often you meet per week, what do you expect in terms of the group's talent level? Are you hardcore reading? Are you a mid-core group? I don't think that anyone should really base everything just off of numbers in terms of things like parsing. You shouldn't be necessarily looking at someone's FF logs and being like, you always have to parse higher than XYZ, because there's pitfalls with that, which I don't really know that much about, but I'm going to tell you to watch Azurite's video, which is probably coming out next week, about this topic, so keep an eye open for that. But anyhow, these are some of the expectations that you have to set up at the very beginning. And obviously these expectations can be modified, but if they are going to be modified, it has to be something that, again, the whole group understands and agrees with. For instance, my static had a bit of a problem with attendance. Now, I did not make a new rule, but some of the things that we talked about as a group was making a rule like whoever comes the most frequently will have first dibs on the drops. So the more you miss, the later you get pushed back to getting to roll on the drops. We didn't end up doing that, but that was something that we thought about doing. Another thing could potentially be saying you can have 3 absences, and after that, we're going to kick you, or at least discuss if we think you should be kicked, because when it comes to being in a static, it's kind of important that people show up. So it's just kind of crazy to me because it seems like this person that kicked the member of my Discord server, it seems like I don't know if there was actually a group, there didn't seem to be a group discussion about it, maybe between him and some other people in the group, but it was just kind of strange because if you wanted people to be playing at a certain level, then that should have been something that was addressed way earlier. Not months into the prog, not at P4. And I have nothing against people leaving statics. I think if you're in a static and you realize, for instance, you might have joined a casual static, I only want to meet a couple times per week, I don't want to be hardcore, blah blah blah, so you join a casual static, and then you're in there for maybe a couple weeks, a month, however long, and you're just like, you know what, I really want a faster paced group. That's fine. That is totally fine. It is better for you to find what you're looking for than to quote-unquote struggle or suffer with a group that just isn't a match. And they'll thank you for it too, because I think a lot of times what happens when people are in a group that they don't really want to be in is they're less likely to be punctual, they're less likely to show up, and they're less likely to be calm and collected and respectful and patient. Because I think if you are in a group that is more casual and people do maybe take a little bit longer to learn or aren't as quick of learners or just don't know their rotations as well, you do have to have that patience. And if that's not what you're looking for and you don't have that patience, then you could end up with some bad blood. So it's definitely better to just be like, hey guys, thanks for letting me be part of the group. I'm finding that this isn't really what I want for myself. I think I want something a little bit more serious. So I'm really sorry, but I'm going to leave. Most of the time, that's fine. Most people aren't going to have a problem with that. And if they do, honestly, just block them, because you don't want to be friends with somebody who's going to have hard feelings over you deciding that the group isn't for you. But to instead kick people from a full group because you happen to be the leader and you happen to be of the opinion that you want something different, no. I don't know. I think the situation sounded pretty shitty, to be honest. So that's my take on that, and that's kind of where this is all coming from. And now, in terms of static etiquette, getting to some more specific points, and I did mention some while just talking about that situation, being punctual. I think it's really important to do your best to be on time for your static. If you agreed that, whatever time, whatever day works for you, then you should be there at that time. When you are late, not only do you hinder progress, like if your static progs for 3 hours and you're 30 minutes late, now they only prog for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I think it's pretty straightforward. So being on time is really important. And then if you can't be on time, or if you can't make it, communicate that. Say to your group, hey, something's going on today. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it on time. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it on time. I'm going to be 30 minutes late, or I'm going to be an hour late. And that way the group can make a decision. They can say, well, we're fine with waiting 30 minutes today. We are usually on time every single week. So 1 week having a little bit less prog, whatever. Or they can say, okay, how about we start 30 minutes late and go 30 minutes later if everybody's okay with that. Or they can say, sorry, we really want to prog this. We're going to start without you. We're really sorry, but let's, do this. Or they could alternatively say, hey, we have some subs. I have like a network of subs at this point because my static hasn't needed them. But maybe you have someone who can sub in for 30 minutes. Just having that communication is so important. And going along with being punctual is actually showing up. Even in casual groups, usually the expectation is that people will show up. Again, casual may have different meanings to different people, and that's something you should set up as your expectation when you create the group. But usually it's just okay, we're not going to be hyper focused on having the best DPS ever, and we're only going to meet once or twice a week. That's usually what a more casual static would be. They don't tend to prog for as long per week. They tend to have slower progress because they don't meet as often, etc., etc., etc. But it doesn't mean that you could just not show up. You still need to show up, because every time somebody doesn't show up, that person is going to be behind, especially if they don't jump into a party finder prog. So now the rest of their group will be oh my god, we got all the way to Enrage, and this person's only halfway through, which means that they have to kind of catch up. And like I said, if they don't do any party finder stuff, then the next time that they go with their group, they're going to be holding them back a little bit. They might be adding on an extra 30 minutes to an hour of prog for them to start getting the mechanics again. So statics are really about commitment. If you say that you're going to be able to come at this time every week, then that's how it should be. Obviously, we're all human beings. We have things happen. We get sick. We have family members who maybe need our help. Shit happens, right? So I'm not saying that you have to be 100% perfect attendance, never ever miss a raid day. I happen to be the quote unquote raid leader of my raid, and I had a day that I was I can't do it today. I just can't. And I didn't. And that's fine. Everybody has those days. But in general, you should be trying your best to make it to the raid, because when you don't, you hold everyone else back. I think it's so important to be considerate of everyone's time, because you're there with 7 other people, and whether you don't make it or you're late, that can potentially be wasting other people's time, and doing that is kind of rude. So basically, I think it's really all about being considerate of the other people in your group, as well as communicating. Because I think the biggest thing for me is it's if someone's going to be late or someone's not going to make it, it's not the end of the world. I'm kind of chill about it. I did say that yes, that can hold back progress, but for me, I'm just it's whatever. We're gonna get there eventually, and I can always go in Party Finder after the day my group runs and go run it. I'm not that upset about it. However, if someone isn't going to make it or they're going to be late and they tell me, that is so much better. Basically, it gives us time to plan what we want to do instead of figuring everything out at the moment that we're supposed to be progging. Because that's what happens when people don't communicate. Everybody logs in at 7 p.m. for their raid night, and somebody doesn't show up or they're late, and you're just waiting, and you're and that's time that you've wasted. So in my group, we have a rule that we basically will wait 10 minutes past our start time. So if everybody logs in and there's one person missing and they don't say anything and they don't come within that 10 minutes, then we're going to start looking for a sub. But the problem again remains that we could have looked for a sub way sooner if we had just been told sooner. So we still end up wasting 20 minutes trying to find a sub or something, which is always frustrating. So, like I said, be considerate. And for the record, my group is actually really good about telling me when they're not going to make it. This is just an example. Some other little tips I think people need to keep in mind is to always come prepared best you can. Make sure that your gear is melded. Watch guides if that's something that helps you and if that's something that your group wants you to do. Just because, again, these are all things that, especially melding and like getting your gear ready. If you're trying to like get your gear ready the moment that you log in and you didn't log in early for the raid, then people are gonna be like, hey, come on, let's get in the raid, let's go. So another thing that can be a bit of a problem is specifically talking during callouts. Now, every group has a different dynamic, and some people who are pretty good players who learn quickly, adapt quickly, are good at multitasking, they can talk and play. They might not even need callouts. That's cool. But for me and my group, we do really appreciate callouts. I'm usually the one doing the callouts, and I do notice on times that we are more chatty, not only do I get worried that people can't hear my callouts, and some people do find my callouts very helpful. They might forget to use knockback prevention if they don't hear me say it. So not only, like I said, is it actually helpful to my group, but sometimes I myself, when the group is really chatty, find that I don't play as well. I have trouble focusing. So it's just, something to be aware of. Think about the dynamic of your group, and if anyone has ever expressed trouble focusing when there's a lot of chit chat, then maybe try to be respectful of that and cut it down. I don't think that raids have to be like a completely silent time at all. I think part of the fun is, of course, talking to your friends and having fun with them during the raid, especially for more casual groups, because if you're not a super serious group trying to get like a speed kill or something, then, it's okay if there's a little bit of chatter and it's not like 100% complete focus, but it's definitely still something to keep in mind, because I have noticed for my group especially that on the nights that we're more chatty and like everybody's really chatty, we do tend to be a little bit slower than on the times when we're more focused. And I'll see, like, sometimes what'll happen is I don't know if it's that people get tired or if people are finally like really hoping to clear or what, but my group will suddenly kind of like quiet down a little bit, and then we'll end up getting like either really close to the clear or clearing or whatever it may be. Like, there is actually an increase in performance. So it's one of those things where I think you need to look for balance. I don't think it should be completely 100% quiet, boring, strict, whatever. But at the same time, I think, try to be respectful of everybody and of the callouts, and just try not to talk when you see a cast bar going. Like, if you see the cast bar, just stop mid-sentence, let the person do the callout, then continue. I don't know. So I think that's all I have to say. There's probably more quote-unquote etiquette, but I was kind of just having a little babble session discussion based on this rant that my little Discord friend brought me. So there it is. Some thoughts, some fun. Was it fun? I don't know. I'm basically having one of those how do I end this moments. So I'm gonna end it. Join my Discord. Woo! Okay. If you enjoyed watching, thank you so much. And remember to leave a sacrifice for Lord Algorithm in the form of a like, comment, subscribe, share, etc. Bye! Sorry, that was a mosquito. It landed on me and I thought I could kill it, but I didn't. I'm gonna get it. Oh my god, I didn't get it off the wall? What the heck?